जैसे
मोहन जी, Rangarajan ji, Shri K C Pant ji, the Excellencies, the media and the distinguished audience. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of Academic Foundation, which has had the privilege of publishing Shri K C Pant's book, India's Development Scenario, Next Decade and Beyond, which is going to be formally released today by Dr. C. Rangarajan, presently Chairman, 12th Finance Commission, and erstwhile Governor of Andhra Pradesh, earlier Governor of the Bank of India, and Member Planning Commission. We are honored to have Shri Jagmohan ji, presently Minister for Tourism and Culture, to preside over this function. I would like to say a few words about the author. Shri K C Pant, who is the son of Bharat Ratna late Pandit Govind Vallabh Pant, who was a distinguished freedom fighter and head of the Uttar Pradesh government when the first elections were held after the Government of India Act of 1935. After independence, he was Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh and for 8 years, and thereafter the Union Prime Minister of India. Shri K C Pant ji, born at Bhowali in Nainital district, now in Uttaranchal, had his education at St. Joseph's College, Nainital. He is an MSc Gold medalist from Lucknow University and thereafter had his postgraduate studies in West Germany. Shri Pant ji has been a member of Parliament from 1962 onwards, both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and he has been in the Union Council of Ministers for umpteen years and has held various portfolios including finance, home, defense, irrigation and power, energy, steel and mines, heavy engineering, education, science and technology, atomic energy, electronics and space. He is member of the National Security Council and chairman of the Prime Minister's Task Force on Infrastructure. He was also chairman of the 10th Finance Commission. Shri K C Pant has travelled widely in India and abroad. There is hardly any important country which he has not visited. He has represented India in several international delegations. He has been a member of several important commissions and institutions like the Administrative Reforms Commission, Institute for Defence Studies and Analysis, National Integration Council, Committee on Public Undertakings, and founder member of the Institute of Constitutional and Parliamentary Studies, etc., etc. A noteworthy feature about his personality is that in spite of having held so many important positions for a very long period, he remains a very humble, unassuming and modest person. Therefore, I request the Honorable Shri Jagmohan ji to kindly conduct the proceedings. May we present bouquet of flowers to the distinguished personalities on the dais. Shri Rangarajan, Shri Pant ji, to kindly conduct the proceedings.
Thank you, friends. May I now request Mr. Ajit Singh ji to present the book to Dr. Rangarajan for release.
Sir, how? The two volumes separately. Ajit Singh ji, close. Sir,
मैडम थोड़ा क्लोज प्लीज.
सर आपने
Yes.
सर आप भी थोड़ा
थोड़ा ऊपर करके दिखा दीजिए, बॉटल आ रहा है. यस सर, थैंक यू सर.
You have been directed. You have been directed.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Shri K C Pant and distinguished participants, it's it's indeed a great pleasure to be associated with the release of this book. I don't have to introduce Pantji or go over his career to any audience in India. I've known him for a very long time, although I've worked with him for a very short time, but I've known him for a very, very long time. And in the short time that I've worked with him, I've seen that he's well read on almost every problem that India's development faces. And with all the pressures he has, there are few people I've seen who are so even-tempered, so mild-tempered, who do not get annoyed, who put forth their views cogently, very eloquently, but as sometimes happens, because in many discussions I have been present when arguments get heated up, because in our country resources are limited, and Pantji has the very difficult task of allocating those resources. But even when the arguments get heated, Pantji is always very calm and collected, and it's a great pleasure to discuss any topic with him, be it political, be it economic, or since I have known him in other spheres rather than work sphere, or economic or political, I might say it's a pleasure to discuss with him anything else in the world also. And I do discuss with all issues with him also sometimes, when he has time. And that's a very difficult commodity, because in our ministries we work on one area, one sphere of economics. In his area of activities involved with almost everything, from states to the different ministries. Anyway, I'm very happy that he had the time and he took the effort to write this book. The analysis is rational and considers growth imperatives over time since independence of the country in a most realistic manner. In understanding the country's development strategy over different planned periods, Pantji has appropriately highlighted the objective conditions of economy over time, while dwelling on the bold and original ideas introduced from time to time. In a book of this nature, the coverage as expected from the stature of a personality like that of Shri K C Pant, all relevant aspects have been covered, both extensively and intensively. Whether it's the subject of import substitution, industrialization, severe droughts, aid from IMF and World Bank, minimum needs of the poor, anti-poverty programs, food security as a policy imperative, infrastructure reforms, liberalization and market orientation of economy, and so on and so forth. Every aspect has been dealt with lucidly and eloquently. The issue whether agriculture growth in the country should be as an adjunct of industrialization or as a centerpiece of development strategy has been especially touched upon. The requirement to the 10th plan of sharply stepping up the rate of growth of economy by duly considering the role of employment-intensive activities has been indeed forcefully presented. It is indeed heartening to note from his book the fundamental message covered in our 10th plan approach that the agriculture sector can no longer be treated as being a residual or peripheral component of our growth path and has to be essentially take the center stage in all our development efforts. The requirements of infrastructure that supports not only agriculture but also all rural or urban economic activities are again very convincingly presented, as also the development and dissemination of agricultural technologies. The issues of diversification, waste minimization, post-harvest technologies, marketing infrastructure, related non-farm activities, requirements of microfinance, rules, regulations, systems governing agriculture and agricultural trade, and so on are beautifully dealt with to depict the future scenario. His vision in the book for future as a knowledge-based Indian economy by appropriately integrating all new technologies, the requirement of total quality management, and the increasing role of states to achieve the desired targets cannot but be specifically highlighted. I can go on and on citing the lucidly highlighted requirements for our joint, involved and concerted efforts in making India a developed country, keeping agriculture in the central stage. But I should restrain myself in doing that, for the idea today is not an elaborate speech, but to take to heart the concerns and issues brought out so exceptionally well by Pant-ji. With these few words, I release this exceedingly important book, which has already been released, and recommend to all of you to go through every word of it. Let us all join together in giving a big applause to Pant-ji for this great effort.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ji. Now may I request Honorable Dr. T. Nagarajan to say a few words.
Shri K C Pant, the Honorable Ministers, Shri Jagmohan, Shri Ajit Singh, Shri Ravi Shankar Prasad, Dr. Uma Kapila, and distinguished friends. It's a matter of great pleasure, I should in fact say a privilege, to release a book by Shri K C Pant entitled India's Development Scenario, Next Decade and Beyond. Shri Pant is a many-sided personality and is unique in many ways. In him, we see the rare combination of a politician and a scholar. Scholars normally don't get deeply involved in public affairs, except perhaps on times to express their views. On the other hand, politicians in general, and I should add the present company excepted, do not find the time or inclination towards scholarship. But not so with Shri K C Pant. He has been in politics from the very young days. He has held every position of importance in the political life of our country. Over his long political career, he has handled a wide variety of subjects and portfolios, as was remarked earlier: energy, defense, internal security, home, finance, and now planning. But what is unique about him is that in all of these areas, he has read a lot, reflected a lot, and come up with striking, innovative ideas. He has the uncanny ability to anticipate problems and to provide solutions. As we all know, timing is the essence of successful policy making. The large gathering here today reflects the high esteem in which he is held. I had the pleasure of working with him, even though I had known him otherwise. I had the pleasure of working with him when he was the chairman of the 10th Finance Commission, and I was a member of the commission for about a year or so. This collection of articles, which is being released today, or which has been released today, is reflective of the wide-ranging interests and mature wisdom, which is a combined product of his erudition and experience. Each one of the essays included in these 2 volumes throws light on one or the other aspects of the Indian economy, and taken together, they provide an excellent commentary and review of India's development experience. They also provide clues to the future, and the next few steps that we should take. These articles are lucid, penetrating, and eminently readable. They have been carefully crafted with great attention and reflect analytical rigor, supplemented by appropriate data. It is not my intention this evening to go into the various essays deep. However, I must say a few words on the general thrust of the book and the general impression it leaves in the minds of the readers. Shri K C Pant has a vision. He has a vision of India moving forward at an accelerated pace. But he sees growth, or he wants growth, combined with employment and balanced regional development. The concern with employment and balanced regional development has stemmed from the recent experience when the growth rate and output has been high, but that of the employment has been low. It is in this context that a development strategy which emphasizes agriculture becomes relevant. Increased employment opportunities are once again a function of the rate of growth of the economy, the composition of output, and also the factor prices reflecting correctly the factor endowments in our country. Shri K C Pant is committed to the process of liberalization and openness. In my view, there were significant signals in the 1970s for a change in the political stance, in the policy stance, but was not picked up strongly, even though the 80s did provide a period of transition. Shri Pant sees great opportunities for India in the new millennium and in the globalized world, provided we as a nation take requisite care to prepare ourselves to meet the challenges and the threats. He recognizes that we live in a knowledge society. To him, knowledge society is more than information technology. It encompasses not only all frontier sciences, but also education itself. What then is the role of economic planning and planning commissions in the changing scenario? This is an issue which he addresses on more than one occasion. He sees for planning and the planning commission a new role in the changed scenario. The new economic policy has in no way diminished the role of the state. It has only redefined it, expanding it in some areas and contracting it in others. As it has been somewhat paradoxically remarked, more market does not mean less government, but only different government. In the areas of social infrastructure, and even in some areas of physical infrastructure, the state will continue to play a dominant role. The role of the Planning Commission in this changed context emerges in terms of formulating the national objectives and the shared vision, evolving and outlining appropriate strategies and policy prescriptions, and also playing a coordinating role between the center and the states. Preparing, if I may say so, long-term strategy plans for different sectors becomes a key function of the planning function. What we need today are roadmaps for the different sectors of the economy. A higher growth rate will demand an increase in the national savings of the country and more efficient use of resources. Public savings will have to increase, and this can happen only if the fiscal system is prudently managed. Sustained development can be achieved only within the framework of an efficient fiscal management. This was a task which he handled in some ways when he was the chairman of the 10th Finance Commission. It is this fiscal management, prudent management, which will enable larger extent of resources to be devoted to developmental expenditure. The emphasis on reducing the revenue deficit and the fiscal deficit is not because that reduction in the deficit is to be desired for its own sake, but because the reduction in the revenue deficit will enable larger amount of resources to be devoted to capital expenditures, which is vital for the country to grow fast. Above all, the growth demands or depends on good governance. Dynamism and efficiency in governance are concomitants of an accelerated growth. These are some of the themes which come out boldly through his books. Philosopher statesmen are rare to come by. Shri K C Pant is one among them. He will remain as the role model for all politicians and policy makers to whom the provision of good governance is a major aim. His book is a must for all students of Indian polity and economics. As the title says, it's a book for today, tomorrow, and the day after. It is my proud privilege to release the book. Thank you very much.
I feel singularly honored. Why Shri K C Pant is truly special. There is a growing perception in the country that the politicians of today do not read, much less write. And he is a very honored exception. I'm sure many of us would like to follow in his footsteps if we can muster the perseverance which he has over the years. Why this book is very special? I was just going through cursorily. I apparently found 4 clear reasons why this is very special. When we see the great metamorphosis occurring in our economy, agriculture from close to 45 has become almost 24 of the GDP. Service sector is growing. Manufacturing is growing. Yet, if India has to grow, if India has to develop, agriculture has to occupy a center stage. That bold statement, don't treat it on the periphery, is very similarly important, particularly in today's age of reform and globalization. There is a second most important